Hey, what's up guys, it's Theyo from Fino Concept, and this is the review of the Canon EOS RP. This is the most affordable full frame mirrorless camera you can get from Canon, but is it any good? Well, let's find out then. So on the Nikon side, I did a review of the Nikon Z6, and I did say in that video that it is the most affordable full frame mirrorless camera from Nikon. Shortly after that, the Nikon Z5 came out and I had to do an updated video. Well, this is Canon's version of an affordable mirrorless camera, weighing approximately 440 grams for the body only. This is by far the smallest and compact camera from Canon. At a first glance, the RP is a bit smaller than I expected. If you ever watched my review of the Canon M50, I did complain that because of the smaller body, my ring finger and my pinky were always hanging around at the bottom, and it was quite uncomfortable, especially when you were using it for an extended period of time. But with this, although my pinky is still hanging off the grip, it's much more comfortable here. Up top are 3 dials, one for on or off, another for changing modes, and the last one for changing the aperture, which you can also lock or map to do something else. The shutter button and shutter wheel neatly directed towards the front. Then on the back are some buttons, the screen and the viewfinder. The screen is fully articulatory, but more on the screen later. There's also a D-pad control if you fancy using that as well. The buttons on the back are about the most satisfying to press. They kind of sink into the frame when you mash on them. I like it. Up front are the lens mount and the laser LED for focusing. At the bottom is a single 1/4 inch mount and a compartment for the battery and SD card. On the subject of the battery and SD card, it supports UHS 2, so definitely consider an SD card with at least 90 megabytes read and write speeds. The reason for that is in an older video, which you can find out more up here or down in the description below. With the battery, the Canon RP uses the 1040 mAh LPE17 lithium battery, which is rated to have about 250 shots per charge. On the left side, we get a mic and headphone input, an HDMI and USB Type-C input, and a port for connecting external shutter remote triggers. On the right, we get absolutely nothing, just the grip with this texture. One problem I have with the placement of the port and the screen is you can't flip the screen after you've connected anything. And if you do, you have to unplug, flip the screen over, and then plug back again. And once you're done, you have to deal with the cables blocking the screen. So getting an external monitor is something you have to consider if you're going to be plugging a lot of things in here. When it comes to Sony's or Nikon's tilt up or down design, you don't really have this problem. For the specifications, the Canon RP is rocking a 35mm 26.2 megapixel full frame dual pixel CMOS sensor, which shoots 1080p videos at 60 frames per second and 4K at 24 frames per second, but more on video quality later. Photos captured on this camera would have a size slightly above 6400 and 4000 pixels. It shoots photos at 4 FPS continuous shooting with autofocus servo mode turned on and 5 frames per second in single point mode. What this means is if you are taking pictures of moving subjects like someone walking towards you, what you can do is once you have the autofocus set on, you can take a maximum of 4 pictures per second. But if you're taking pictures of non-moving subjects like an action figure sitting on a desk, then once you lock focus, you can take as many as 5 pictures per second. It also comes with pupil detection autofocus in servo mode and with the Digit 8 image processor for faster and cleaner JPEG images. You also have the opportunity to touch and drag your autofocus point, so that is also a good thing. And if you are not interested in the autofocus and want to rack focus yourself, it comes with focus peaking, so that even makes it a lot easier when you are nailing focus by yourself. You don't have to do any form of guessing game. The EOS RP has a standard ISO sensitivity range of 100 to 40,000 for pictures and 100 to 25,600 for videos. If you enjoy posting photos on social media directly from your camera, then you are in luck. With the RP's inbuilt Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and Canon's Camera Connect app, you can easily link your camera and your smartphone. This allows for a number of functions such as transferring photos from your camera to your smartphone, adding GPS information to your photos and videos, and even using your smartphone for remote shooting. This is that one feature I love the most. In case you don't know, I scrape, shoot, edit all my photos and videos by myself, and sometimes it's a lot difficult and sometimes even impossible to take an in-focus photo of myself for the YouTube thumbnail. So having the ability to just connect my phone to the camera, see everything, know my focus, take the picture without having someone behind the camera is a great deal for me. You may have noticed that most of my thumbnails of late are just top down of a product because there's no one to take a picture of myself. Now for context, here is a side-by-side comparison with my Canon 600D DSLR, and you notice that there is some sort of difference in size. Although the 600D is a crop sensor camera, it is much taller, heavier and bulkier. Well, that's because unlike the Canon RP, the 600D is a DSLR which has a mirror sitting right in front of the sensor. I wouldn't recommend ever tilting your camera up with the sensor being revealed like so, because if dirt or dust gets on it, you are going to have a bad time. As the name implies, the Canon RP comes with the RF mount system and its lenses, but to use older EF or EFS lenses on it, you would need an adapter. I've used the adapters from Viewfinder for the Nikon Z5 and Z6 and even my Canon M50, so I am comfortable recommending them even though they are not sponsoring this video. The one I have here is the Viewfinder EF and EFS to RF mount adapter, and it works just fine with the Canon RP. There are no issues with autofocus whatsoever. Kindly note that there are 3 variants with these Canon adapters from Canon themselves, so be sure to check which one best suits you. Trust me, they are all going to work phenomenal with any of the RF system, but some of them just have just the adapter connecting to the lens, others have an ND filter built in, others have some focusing ring and all of that. So just be sure which one fits you and just go for that one. One good thing when using an EFS lens on this is that the camera automatically crops in to reflect the APS-C size sensor of the lenses. And with this way, you don't have to worry about getting some vignetting at the edges of the frame. Now let's talk about the screen on the back. It's a 3-inch fully articulatory 1.04 million touchscreen. Unlike some Sony cameras which only allows you to use the touchscreen for selecting what the camera should focus on, this basically allows you to control virtually everything by just using the touchscreen. The 0.39-inch OLED electronic viewfinder with approximately 2.36 million dots is also bright, sharp and colorful, providing 100% field of view. So any framing you see on the screen or using the viewfinder is exactly what you get when you take the picture. Now I'll be slightly comparing the RP with my Canon M50 because that is what I have been using and I'm comfortable with, especially when it comes to the autofocus. For perspective, this is how the RP looks right next to the M50. With both cameras being mirrorless, it's funny how small and compact both of them can be. Note that the M50 is a crop sensor mirrorless camera while the RP is having a full frame sensor. So naturally, the RP is going to be much bigger. Even though the RP is a lot bigger and wider, it doesn't come with an inbuilt flash. Not that this is a deal breaker in any way. I mean, I wouldn't recommend ever using the onboard flash of any camera, no matter how expensive it is. But if you're interested in an inexpensive speed light or flash, which is going to give you much better results as compared to the onboard flash, then you can check out the video here or down in the description below. Now here's a video test and autofocus test comparing it with my Canon M50, which I love the dual pixel autofocus on it. And since they are both using the same system, I'm expecting about the same results. Alright, so this is the video quality I'm getting for both cameras. I'm trying to get them to be exactly the same as much as possible. On the EOS RP, I have the 24mm f2.8. I have the settings set to 1/800 of the shutter speed, f2.8, ISO 100, and I have the exact same settings on this one as well. But on the EOS M50, it is what I'm using actually is the 22mm f2 lens. And I'm also noticing that this has a brighter screen. I don't know if it is the screen which is brighter or the image is producing is brighter, but I'm going to compare them side by side and see what we have. Alright, so this is the video quality of an indoor setup of the Canon EOS RP. I have the shutter speed set to 1/50th of a second at f1.4 and the ISO is 125. I'm shooting this on the Sigma f1.4 lens, which I'll be doing a review about, so stay tuned to that. Be sure to subscribe, of course. And in case you are also interested in the audio quality, here is how it sounds like. Initially, I had it paired with a Boya BY-MM1 microphone, which I'm recording down here. So yeah, anyway, so this is how the onboard camera microphone sounds like, and let me know if it's also any other good. With the RP, it also comes with eye tracking, which works great if you have your subject close enough to the camera. So if this is a feature you are interested in, then definitely get a wide lens to get everything in frame. On that note, would you forgo the Canon M50 and pay $500 extra to get the RP, or because of the full frame? Let me know in the comment section below. Although there are so many things to love about the Canon EOS RP, it does come with some limitations, and here are a few. First will be the 4K capabilities. Yes, it does shoot 4K videos, but there's a 1.7 times crop factor on the video itself. What this means is if you are using a 35mm lens on the camera and shooting in 1080p, it's still 35mm, but the moment you switch to 4K, it kind of zooms in by 1.7 times. And if you're shooting in 4K too, you lose the ability to use the dual pixel autofocus. It switches to the contrast-based autofocus, which is just fine. It hunts sometimes, well, most of the time, but when you get it to work, you may get some good results. I don't recommend shooting in 4K if there isn't anyone behind the camera to rack focus for you. And the last thing about the 4K is the ISO range maxes out at 12,800 instead of the 25,600 when we get to 1080p. Same camera, but limitation. One other great thing I almost forgot to mention is you can connect the camera to an external power source and record all day if that is what you are interested in. But the sad part is you have to get Canon's their own designed converter for that. If you don't, then you just have to stick with using the battery. Another sad thing is with the smaller body, well, I don't have a problem with it. I have smaller hands. But if you have bigger hands, then your pinky is always going to be flying somewhere away from the grip. Yes, you can get a battery grip or probably an extension, the grip extension from Canon, but that is something extra you have to buy. You just bought your camera and you have to buy the grip as well. Another sad thing about the smaller body is because it is smaller, you are going to get a smaller battery. So 250 shots, that's what they say, but definitely consider getting some extra batteries. Anyway, I'll leave links to everything I've spoken about in this video down in the description below, and I'll be updating it from time to time because prices are going to be dropping anytime soon. So be sure to check out the links in the description. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and other channels which I have them linked below. And as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theyo from Fino Concept. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.